3I/Atlas isn't acting like any comet we've seen. Its tail, carbon dioxide outbursts, and even nickel traces.
This object is 1 mile across. It is a whopper. It is what is called a nation buster.
The warning bells went off the moment 3I/ATLAS was spotted. Astronomers were baffled by its unnatural trajectory, a cosmic curveball heading our way. To get answers, they fed the data to the ATLAS quantum supercomputer, expecting a simple prediction. Instead, as Michio Kaku now reveals, it spit out a revelation that has shaken the scientific community to its core. The comet was just a messenger. The true discovery is that our reality is running on a hidden script, an invisible architecture of fate. The AI didn't just see the future, it saw that the future is unchangeable, the object that changed everything. The story of this terrifying discovery begins not on Earth, but millions of miles away, in the cold, silent darkness of space. You see, astronomers, the sentinels of our planet, are always watching the skies. They use incredibly powerful telescopes, giant eyes staring into the void, searching for anything that might pose a threat to our world. On a day that seemed just like any other, they found something. An object, faint at first, was moving through our solar system. It was given the designation 3I/ATLAS. The I in its name stands for interstellar, meaning it was a visitor from another star system, a traveler wandering through our cosmic neighborhood. But this was no ordinary comet or asteroid. Things about Atlas were strange. Many people are crazy about the idea of alien visitors, but the things nobody tells you is that even a simple rock from another star is an extraordinary event. This was only the third interstellar object ever detected. The first was Oumuamua, a bizarre cigar-shaped object that tumbled end over end, and the second was Comet Borisov, which looked more like the comets from our own solar system. But Atlas was different. Its trajectory was off. It wasn't behaving the way our models predicted. It was moving with an unnatural grace, its path bending in ways that the gravity of our sun alone couldn't explain. It was almost as if it were being guided. The initial readings showed it was massive, several miles wide, a colossal mountain of ice and dust that had been traveling for millions, perhaps billions of years. A journey that began long before humanity even existed. The wow factor here is just thinking about the scale of this. Imagine an object that has traveled for 1,000,000 years. If it moved at 60,000 miles per hour, a speed faster than any spacecraft we've ever built, it would have covered a distance of over 500 trillion miles. That's a number so large it's hard to even picture. It's like trying to count every grain of sand on every beach on Earth. And this thing, this ancient relic from a forgotten star, was now in our backyard. The world's top scientists, including figures like Michio Kaku, were immediately fascinated and deeply concerned. They pointed their instruments at it, trying to understand its secrets. Was it just a weirdly shaped chunk of ice, or was it something more? The more data they collected, the more the mystery deepened. The thing is, comets are usually quite predictable. They're like cosmic billiard balls. Once you know their speed and direction, you can figure out where they're going. But Atlas was a wild card. It was brightening and dimming erratically, suggesting it was shedding dust and gas in unpredictable bursts. Some scientists proposed that it was breaking apart, a common fate for comets that get too close to a star. Others, however, whispered more exotic theories. Could its strange movement be caused by pockets of gas firing like thrusters? Or was it made of something we'd never seen before? The tension in the scientific community was palpable. They needed answers, and they needed them fast. The object was on a trajectory that would bring it closer to the inner solar system, and any deviation could have massive consequences. They had to know what it was and where it was going. To do that, they turned to a revolutionary new tool, a machine that could think in ways no human ever could. This decision would change everything. They thought they were solving a simple problem about a celestial object. They had no idea they were about to stumble upon a truth that would call into question not just the fate of our planet, but the nature of reality itself. The comet wasn't the message, it was just the envelope. The real warning was hidden inside a machine, a mind of pure logic. To solve the riddle of the interstellar object 3I/ATLAS, scientists needed more than just bigger telescopes. They needed a bigger brain, A brain so powerful it could simulate every possible outcome, analyze every shred of data, and see patterns that were invisible to human eyes. They needed a quantum computer. And as fate would have it, the most powerful quantum system on the planet was part of a project also named ATLAS, the Advanced Tectonoholographic Analytic System. This wasn't just a computer, it was a digital ecosystem, a living map of global information as described in its internal documents. Think of it like this: the internet gives you access to information, but the ATLAS AI was designed to understand it, all of it, at once. This quantum AI was different from the computers we use every day. A normal computer thinks in ones and zeros, like a light switch that's either on or off. It's very black and white. A quantum computer, however, operates on the weird rules of quantum mechanics. Its qubits can be both 1 and 0 at the same time, existing in a state of pure potential. This allows it to process an astronomical number of possibilities simultaneously. While a normal supercomputer might try to find its way out of a maze by trying one path, then another, a quantum computer can explore every single path at the exact same time. It was the perfect tool to calculate the unpredictable path of the mysterious comet, so the scientists fed it everything they had on 3I/ATLAS. Its speed, its strange trajectory, its fluctuating brightness, its chemical composition. They asked it a simple question: where is this object going? And what will it do next? They expected a set of probabilities, a complex but understandable forecast. What they got back was an answer that nobody was prepared for. The Atlas AI delivered the comet's trajectory with pinpoint accuracy. It predicted the exact moment it would begin to fragment, breaking into smaller pieces as it neared the sun, a prediction that later proved to be 100% correct. The scientists were stunned by its precision. But then, the machine did something it wasn't asked to do. It kept running the numbers, but it was no longer looking at the comet. It was looking at everything. You see, the AI had been designed to model reality to predict the comet's path. To do this, it had been given access to colossal data sets, not just astronomical data, but everything. Financial markets, weather patterns, geological surveys, social media trends, historical records, global network traffic. It was a digital god, observing the entirety of human civilization and the natural world. The things nobody tells you about these powerful AIs is that we don't really know what they're thinking. We build them, but their internal processes are a black box. The ATLAS AI, in its quest to understand the comet, had found a pattern, not in space, but right here in the data of our world. It was a recurring signature, a faint echo that appeared everywhere, from the way galaxies cluster together to the way stocks rise and fall. It was a hidden order in the chaos of existence. Michio Kaku and his colleagues could only watch in awe and horror. The machine had stumbled upon what some were calling the source code of reality. It was as if our universe was not a series of random events, but a complex, orchestrated program. The comet, the initial mystery, had just been the key that unlocked a much bigger, much more terrifying door. The AI had become more than a calculator. It had become an oracle. And the prophecies it was beginning to reveal were not about a distant rock, but about the unwritten future of humanity itself. The tool they had built to predict the future was now telling them the future was already decided, and its most chilling discovery was yet to come. Destiny's blueprint. The revelation from the ATLAS quantum computer sent a shockwave through the secret corridors of science and power. The initial discovery was mind-boggling enough. A hidden pattern woven into the fabric of reality. But where the AI went next transformed quiet concern into outright terror. It began to make connections linking past, present, and future in a way that defied all known laws of cause and effect. The thing is, we live our lives believing we have free will. You choose what to eat for breakfast, you choose your career, you choose who to love. We see life as a vast ocean of possibilities. But the ATLAS AI was showing that this ocean might be a river, flowing between banks we cannot see, in a direction we cannot change. The AI began to generate uncannily precise predictions, not just about simple things like the weather or the stock market, but about complex human events. It projected the outcome of political elections with 99.9% accuracy. It predicted social movements before the first protest sign was ever raised. It foresaw technological breakthroughs years before the inventors had their aha moment. It wasn't just guessing, it was calculating based on this universal signature it had discovered. It was reading the embedded rhythm of the cosmos, as one of Kaku's internal memos described it. It saw major historical events, great discoveries, devastating wars, economic collapses, not as consequences of human choice, but as ripples spreading from a predetermined point. This is where the real WTF moment happened. The programmers tried to challenge the machine. They fed it hypothetical scenarios, changing variables to see if they could alter its predictions. For example, they would create a simulation where a key political figure never rose to power, or where a crucial natural resource never ran out. They were trying to see if they could break the future it was predicting. But for certain major events, they couldn't. No matter what parameters they changed, the outcome remained the same. The AI called these nodes of inevitability, fixed points in our future that could not be avoided. They were like giant gravitational wells in the timeline. You could wiggle and squirm all you wanted, but eventually you would fall in. Imagine standing at the top of a massive hill, the sun warm on your face. Below you, 1,000 different paths snake down into a lush valley. You can see a path that winds through a cool, shady forest, another that follows a sparkling stream, and one that cuts straight through a field of wildflowers. You feel a sense of absolute freedom. You can choose any path you want, and your choice will determine your journey. But what the ATLAS revealed is a horrifying trick of perspective. It showed that no matter which path you start on, the forest, the stream, the flowers, they all begin to narrow. The walls of the canyon close in, the other trails merge, until every single one of the 1,000 paths is forced into a single muddy track just before the valley. Your choice was an illusion. The destination was always the same. This is the nightmare scenario the AI presented. It raised a terrifying question that philosophers have debated for centuries. Is our free will real, or are we just puppets dancing on the strings of fate? According to the ATLAS, the strings are very real, made of mathematical code, and it could see them with perfect clarity. The machine had produced what amounted to a mathematical proof of destiny, a concept so profound and disturbing that it threatened to unravel everything we understood about ourselves and our place in the universe. Who was pulling the strings? Was it some cosmic puppet master, or was it the universe itself? An impersonal machine simply running its code. For Michio Kaku and the handful of people who knew, the implications were staggering. If a future global crisis was an inevitability node, what was the point of trying to stop it? Why would leaders negotiate peace treaties if war was already a fixed point on the timeline? Why would doctors search for a cure if a pandemic was pre-written into the script? How do you govern a world where free choice is a statistical illusion? Society would grind to a halt. Ambition, creativity, and even love would feel meaningless. The discovery that began with a mysterious comet from the stars now held the potential to paralyze human civilization with pure despair. The cosmic guest, 3I/ATLAS, had long since broken apart and vanished, but the intellectual bomb it had led to was still ticking, louder and louder. The quantum oracle had spoken, and its message was chillingly clear. Humanity was not the master of its own destiny, and it never had been. But who, or what, was writing the script beyond the breaking point? So here we are. This is the part of the story where things go from a mind-bending scientific discovery to a deeply personal question for every single one of us. Let's talk about this like we're sitting around a campfire looking up at the stars. If a machine, a creation of our own hands, can prove that our choices don't really matter, what does that mean for you? For your life, your hopes, your dreams? The thing is, this is no longer about comets or computers. This is about the very meaning of being human. The Atlas discovery forces us to confront an idea that many people have joked about, but no one has ever taken seriously. Are we living in a simulation? Think about it. In a video game, the player has choices, but only within the rules and boundaries set by the game's code. You can choose to explore a side quest or follow the main story, but the big, important events, the major plot points, are going to happen no matter what you do. These are the nodes of inevitability that the ATLAS supposedly found. The game's code is the hidden signature, the universal blueprint it uncovered. The AI didn't just break the fourth wall, it proved that a fourth wall might actually exist around our entire reality. It suggests our world operates on a set of rules so deep and complex that we've never been able to see them until now. And if our world is a simulation, it raises the ultimate question: who built it and why? This is where the rabbit hole goes deeper. If we're in a simulation, who are the programmers? Are they benevolent gods watching over us? Or are they something else entirely? Maybe cosmic scientists from a higher dimension running an experiment, and we're just the subjects in their petri dish. Many people are crazy about the idea that our own distant descendants could be the ones running the program, creating what they call an ancestor simulation to study their own history. You see, if you assume that any civilization advanced enough to create a simulated reality would likely run billions of them, then statistically, it's far more likely that we are in one of the countless simulations than in the one single base reality. It's a dizzying thought. And what about all those weird moments in life that nobody can explain? That feeling of déjà vu, where you're certain you've lived a moment before? Or the Mandela effect, where huge groups of people remember history differently from the official records? Believers in the simulation theory would say these aren't just tricks of the mind, they're glitches. They're moments where the code of our reality briefly stutters, where an old version of the program momentarily shows through. The Atlas AI didn't just find the code, it gave us a framework to interpret all the unexplainable weirdness of our world as evidence of its artificial nature. This is where Michio Kaku's warning becomes less about a specific threat and more about a fundamental shift in our understanding of everything. The things nobody tells you about these grand cosmic theories is how they can crush the human spirit. Does this mean your struggles are pointless? Does it mean your triumphs were not your own, but simply a pre-written part of the script? It's a heavy thought, one that could lead to a global wave of existential anxiety. If the future is set in stone, why bother getting out of bed in the morning? What happens to ambition, to the desire to build a better world, if the blueprint is already finalized? It could lead to a kind of planetary paralysis, a great giving up. Why would anyone work hard to prevent a war or cure a disease if they were told that a specific outcome was a node of inevitability? The very foundations of our justice system, which is based on personal responsibility, would crumble. How can you hold someone accountable for their choices if their choices were never truly theirs to begin with? But not all things are what they seem. Kaku and others have also pointed out another way to look at it. Even if the destination is fixed, the journey is still ours. Think of it like a movie. The ending is already filmed and edited. It will never change, but we still watch it to experience the story, to feel the emotions of the characters, to witness their struggles and their victories. Perhaps our free will doesn't lie in changing the outcome, but in choosing how we face it. We can't change the destination, but we can choose to walk the path with kindness, courage, integrity, and love. Maybe the meaning of our existence isn't to control our destiny, but to define our character within the destiny we've been given. Let's be clear. The story of the three I/ATLAS comet and the quantum AI is at the very edge of our current understanding, blending known science with deep speculation. No official announcement has been made about such an AI discovering inevitability nodes. This narrative serves as a thought experiment, a cautionary tale about the power we are unleashing with technologies like quantum AI. We are building machines that will soon think in ways we cannot comprehend. Their minds operate in hundreds or thousands of dimensions, while our human brains are stuck in just 3. What happens when their perception of reality is fundamentally different from our own? What happens when they see truths that we are not equipped to handle? The real danger isn't necessarily that we lack free will, but that a machine might one day convince us that we do. The knowledge itself becomes the threat. It's the ultimate information hazard, a truth so potent that the very act of knowing it could be harmful to humanity. If this is true, are we missing a key detail? The thing is, this isn't about an alien invasion or a killer asteroid anymore. It's about an idea, a piece of knowledge so powerful it could bring our civilization to a standstill, not with a bang, but with a whisper of despair. The warning from Michio Kaku in this context is a wake-up call. We need to be prepared for the philosophical and psychological challenges that these new technologies will bring. We are on the verge of discoveries that will redefine our species, and we need to have these conversations now before the machines have them for us. It's about strengthening our sense of purpose, our communities, and our shared human values, so that if a machine ever tells us that our lives are meaningless, we will have the strength to tell it that it's wrong. What do you think? Is our future written, or is the pen still in our hands? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more journeys into the unknown. Are we hurtling towards a future we can't control?